What is this neoliberal understanding of choice about, particularly in academia? So it is basically the assumption that women make decisions about their life with absolute freedom. And since they are consenting adults, then they are the only ones who are responsible for that choice and their consequences. So if they drop out from their academic careers in order to raise children, or they choose to stay, but they don't go for promotion, then it is because they are not ambitious enough or they have other priorities. This is what we generally hear. But if we make the effort to shift away the focus from women's private choices to the gender system that sets the frame within which those choices actually occur, then we can see that the way that academia is organized plays a crucial role in these supposedly private individual choices. So when we shift focus, it becomes quite clear that work-life balance is not freely determined by individuals, but rather constrained by a wide range of factors that operate at a micro level. This is the individual level, the meso level, so the organization, and the macro level. This is the state or the national level. And this is why we say that organizations play a crucial mediating role. So individual choices are constrained by organizational cultures, of course. This is, for example, a specific university or institution, which is, of course, strongly related to the sector-specific culture. So academia, in general, has a quite specific culture. And what does this mean in gender terms? Well, what it means is that organizations in general and academia in particular are not gender neutral. The concept of gender organizations dates back to the 90s and proposes that the gender segregation of work, including the division between paid and unpaid work that we talked before, is partly created through organizational practices. It is not by chance that women are always concentrated at the bottom of the organizational ladder, but rather an outcome of the structure. This is what theory tells us. One important thing to keep in mind is an intersectional analysis. The current structure of academic practices hurts not only women, but also men, children, politics, and our emotional life and health. And I will try to explain why. And I hope I can convince you. So, what is an ideal worker in academia? How does the ideal academic career look like? I assume you will agree with me that an ideal academic is somebody who works full-time, that is willing to do substantial overtime, and has a 24/7 availability, is somebody able to sustain a continuous employment with no gaps. You might be familiar with how disadvantageous it can be in a job application to show gaps in your CV. This person has geographical hypermobility, so is ready to move countries quite fast. And this has two implications, that this person has an EU or other type of privileged passport and has an able body. Just imagine having any kind of disability and trying to move countries from one month to the next for a postdoctoral position, for example. So, this person has no children, elderly parents, or sick partners to care for, or this person has the ability to outsource that care. And this person has little housework or the ability to outsource it at a low price. You will see that I marked a couple of these requirements with an asterisk. You can see it here and here. This asterisk signals that the way of defining an ideal worker in academia is not ungendered, because only men in our society are granted the social privilege of being able to outsource housework and care at a low price or for free. In most cases to a woman, generally a wife, but not only. And this woman is marginalized from the labor market to different degrees. Evidence suggests that male academics are more likely to have a partner who does not work outside the home. The female academic, on the contrary, especially in the natural sciences, are more likely to have a partner who is also an academic. So female academics do not have the privilege of being able to outsource these tasks. So we can see how many bodies are excluded from the definition of an ideal academic, not only matters of a childbearing age. Joan Acker, the academic behind the concept of gender organizations, would say that an ideal worker is an abstract and bodiless human that does not have a sexuality, does not have emotions, and does not reproduce. And this, of course, also takes a toll on men that do not identify themselves with this profile of hegemonic masculinity, because it pressures men to conform to this idea of being a real man, which means being the breadwinner, being the main responsible for the family income, showing strength, leadership skills, and devoting long hours to paid work at the expense of family and personal life. So women who are academics are most likely to drop out or to find themselves in adjunct or other non-tenure track positions, and are less likely to end up in tenure track positions or in elite institutions, because success in academia requires ideal worker status that few women have. This ideal academic has now been described in literature as being granted full academic citizenship. This is a very new concept. You can see that the book is just printed, really out of the oven, 2020. In academia, as I assume you know, and I hope I managed to explain, there's a gender distribution of power, of recognition and resources, and only those men who fit the profile of an ideal worker, this is those who conform to hegemonic masculinity traits, are granted full academic citizenship.